Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. So in this video we are going to learn about the converter and populator in SAP Hybris. So let's get started. So I have prepared a notes which I will provide the link of this note in the description of this video. So let's first understand what is the converter and populator and why it is used for. So basically converter is an instance of data object and converter used to call the populator which used to populate the data this data object where for which the instance has been created in the converter. So if you watch the previous video on the how to create a custom API, so you know that in there we have created the API from which we are fetching the YTS document model data and we are passing it to the data object and we are retrieving that data through our API. Correct. So in that video, I have already explained our facade service and DAO layer and how we are fetching all that data. So if you remember, we are setting the data which we fetch from the model in our DTO in the facade layer, right? So if you go to the YTS document facade IMPL, you can see we are setting that data. We are getting the list of YTS document model from the YTS service dot get document list data. So from this service layer, so we are fetching the data from the YTS document model and storing into the list YTS document model. And that in the facade layer, what we are doing, we are iterating and we are setting that data in the YTS document data. So basically, what Hybris recommend. So this all things, this all what we fetch the data from the model, and we have to set that data in our data object. So that all things we have to do in our populator. So that should be done through the converter and populator that Hybris recommend. Okay, so what we will do, we will create the converter and populator for YTS document and where the source will be your document model and where your target will be your DTO, means that data object. So basically, if you see the definition of what is the converter and what is the populator, so it is a very simple definition that what is a converter? Basically, converter is a instance of data object. So you know about the data object, right? So in previous video, I have explained about the data transfer object. So basically, what is the converter? It is a instance of data transfer. Sorry, it is instance of the data object which call the populator in order to populate your that data object. So let's create the converter first. So if you go back to the notes, so first what we have to do, we have to create the YTS document converter, and in converter what will be our target class, you know what. So in converter the two things are important. One is your source and another one is your target. So always your source will be your model. So in our case our model will be a YTS document model and our target will be our your DTO. So in previous video we have created the DTO, so that is YTS document list data. So that will be our target class. So what you have to do, you have to define this bean definition in the spring.xml file of the YTS facade spring.xml. So I will copy this code, go back to YTS facade spring.xml and you paste the code here. So here what we are doing, here we are defining, we are giving the ID which will be using in the facade while defining the converter in our facade MPL class. And always remember we are using the out of the box converter which is abstract populating converter, and our where we are setting our target class as that our DTO. Our DTO was YTS document list data. So which we have created in the previous video, if you remember. So as we define this converter here, so let's define we have done the wiring for the converter here. So let's define the converter in the facade class. Okay. So in order to define that, what you can do, come down. So in this way you can define you have to create a private uh, variable for your converter. So if you see here, and you have to import this converter. So be careful here. So you have to import the this first one. So this service layer dot dto dot converter. Don't import any other converter. So we will be using this converter. So click on this. So this will be imported and your error will be gone. So once you define your converter, so what we did in the converter, we are passing the source and we are passing the target. So as I already told, your source will be the list of YTS document model. So your list, what we are getting from the service layer, so that always that will be your source. And what will your target? The target will be for which you your DTO. Basically, whatever DTO you have created, that will be your target. So basically, we are sending to the controller that YTS document list data. So basically, this will be our target. So you have to, in the converter, you have to pass the list, your model, and your in target you have to pass your DTO. So once you define this, we have to create a getter setter for it. So I have already told how to create the getter setter of it. The easiest way I have explained in the previous video. So what you can do, you can click here and you can go to the code and click on generate and click on getter setter. So you can see our getter setter has been created. So once your getter setter got created, so what we will do, we will move this block of code to our populator. Okay, so I will remove this block of code and I will keep this code because I need a model that need to be passed in my converter. And I will also remove this, I will move this to the facade. I will not create an instance for it. So now what can I do? I will copy this variable, paste here and equal, I will call my converter. So basically what converter we have created? We have created the YTS document converter. So call your converter and call the convert method. And in convert method, always you have to pass your model. Only you will pass your model. And as you have used your converter, you have I have already defined, I have already explained in my previous video, whatever the private variable you defined here, that you have to inject in your bean spring.xml file also of this for the bean definition of this class. I will remove the use import. So what you can do, I will copy this converter name. So basically this is a converter ID which we have defined here. And this is the YTS document facade MPL wiring, right? We have done the wiring in the previous video for this class here. So we have to define that property, correct? So paste that variable name, means basically the ID. So basically this ID, with this ID we have created the variable for the converter. So pass that inside the property in the name and the ref. So basically the wiring will also complete for our converter what we have used. So after doing that, now we will create our populator class. So what we will do, in facade we will create a package for that. So inside the YTS com.yts facade, here we will create two new folders. So one will be a converter and another one will be the, I will give its names as converter, and another will be the populator. So whatever in future, whatever converter and populator we will write, we will be defining that class, we will making that class inside that our converter dot populator folder. So here we will create our populator class. So here you can see I have given the I have already defined the name of my populator, that's this YTS document populator. So with this name I will create my populator class. Select Java class and the class name always start with the capital letter, so I will change the YTS in the capital. So this name will be the fine. So once you created the populator class, so this populator class will implements your populate. So basically, our every populator class will implements the populator interface. So here we have to pass what we define in the our converter. So basically, we have to pass the source, and you will pass your target. So data type of your target. So basically, these things we have to pass whenever we are defining the when we are creating the populator class, and we will implement it. And inside this class, what we will do, we will override the populate method. We will be using the override annotation. Then and inside this, what we do, we used to pass our source and target. So basically our source will be this and our target will be this. So you have to pass that in your populate method, and you can give you can define that variable as first one will be a source and second one will be a target. And I will throw conversion exception. We will import this. So conversion exception, we will use that service layer.dto conversion exception that you will use. So we are getting one error here. Okay, we have not closed this tag as we are defining the list, and you will import this populator also. So you will import the de.hybris platform.converter. So this populator you will import. So here also I am missing the tag. Okay, now all fine. And now what we will do? So basically our target is YTS document list data. So what is the YTS document list data? So in YTS document list data, we have to store the list of YTS document data, correct? So we will create an instance for this. I will give the name as YTS document list, array list. And one by one, what I will do, I will iterate the white list of YTS document model and store the data into the YTS document data. And when the all the things will be stored, I will store in the list, and I will set that list into my target. So before doing that, first I will check whether whatever data we are getting from our service layer. So basically whatever data I am getting here, so I will check that whether this is null or not, whether this is empty or not. If it is not empty, then only I will populate my data. So as this will be a list, so I will use the collection util. Collection util does is not empty, and I will pass my source. So if my source is not empty, so what I will do, I will copy this code and paste here. So what I am doing, whatever previously I am doing in my facade layer, so same code I have pasted over here. So you can see I'm iterating my source. So basically, what is my source? Source is the list of YTS document model, and then I'm creating the YTS document data instance because I have to store in this list. So basically, this will be a list, and then I'm setting all the data which I'm getting from the model. So this also I have explained in my previous video, which I am doing in the facade. So same code I have copy paste here. So I'm setting the data instead of in facade. I'm setting the data in my populator. So once you set and once you add this in the list, so we have to set this list in the target. So what you can do target dot set documents, and you will pass this YTS document list which you have defined here. So here our populator is ready. So you know whatever new class we defined, we have to do the wiring for this. So we will define this YTS document populator. We will do the wiring for this in the YTS facade spring.xml. So here is the wiring code. Copy this and paste below it. So you can revalidate with something name has been mismatched. So if the name is mismatched, what you can do, you can copy this and you can change the class dot populator. So now you can see it is redirecting to our populator class. So that means our wiring is done. So in this way, we will be doing the wiring for the populator. So if you see YTS document populator, same name I have given in the our converter wiring. So inside here, so same name has been used. If you can see. So in this way, we used to write the code for the populator. So once this is done, we will build the code. So in order to build that code, go to your Hybris setter, go to Hybris, bean, then platform, open the CMD here, and set the environment first and trigger and all. So once the build is completed, we will start our server and we will test our API. So we will put the debug pointer here and we will see the call is going to our populator or not. So our build is completed. So we will start our server in debug mode as we will be doing the debug in our populator. So in order to start the server in debug mode, you can write hybris server.bat space debug. So I will be back once our server is up. So guys, our server has started successfully. So now we will be setting the debug pointers. So we know the first call will go to the facade, then it will be calling our controller, populator. We will be starting our debug. Now open the Postman, and you know that our previous API which we have created was this one. So this requires the authentication before hitting this. So we will generate the BRR token first. So copy the access token, go to your API, document API, then go to the authorization, and in BRR token, paste that token which you have copied. And now when I will hit this API, so that it will go to my debug point. So you can see the call goes to the facade. So now it will fetch the data from the model from DB. Now we got the 4 record. So now in order to map to the DTO, so we are passing the model to the converter, and converter is calling our custom populator which we have created. So you can see the call goes to the populator, and here it is validating whether source is empty or not. So source is not empty, so it will go to the for loop, and it will create the instance of YTS document data, and then after in one by one it will set the data from the model to the YTS document data. So if you see, it has set the code now, the doc name, then doc type, keywords, language, URL, visibility, document age. Then when the all data got set for the first index, it will set to the list. Same, it will be iterate 3 times. Then it will set to the target. If you see all the now it is setting to the target. So if I release this debug and see the response, so it is loading. So you can see we got the response. So that's all for this video. Hope you like it. See you on next video. Thank you.